Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenore and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Aries. If Aries is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so we have the Two of Wands, which has everything to do with the minion. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over, take a look, and see what these tea leaves have to say tonight. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. So we have this little face right here. Look at that. We have the eyes, the nose, the mouth. It looks pretty happy. Just kind of a content facial expression. Oh, and look, this one looks like a little alien. We have the eyes, the little mouth, looks like a gray. All right. We have a person building a fire. We have Cupid with the arrow. So I feel that there is a sense of, maybe a relationship coming around or a love affair of some kind. We have that Cupid, we have the arrow, we have the building of the fire, we also have the wands, right? Two of Wands, so that's another fire indicator. And it feels like building this passion, building this, maybe a sensuality or connection of some kind. It doesn't have to necessarily be romantic or a relationship. This could be a friendship. But I do feel like you're coming out of your shell a little bit. And I feel like this is almost kind of alien to you. You've been kind of, just staying by yourself and doing your own thing. Now you might be married or in a relationship currently, but I do feel like you've been in a place of solitary hermit mode. And I think that you're really kind of coming out of that these last couple of weeks. And so I do feel like there's kind of this excitement around you, meeting this person or spending more time with this person and finding some commonality with somebody who it feels like puts you at ease. I think this is definitely, some kind of connection that you are not expecting. So that's why I think it could be romantic. It could also be a good friend or a potential good friend. And so I feel like this is something that, you're an Aries, you're cautious. You're not going to put all of the eggs into one basket. But I do think that, you're excited. You're waking up. You're thinking, hey, this might be, something new and something good. And I'm pretty dang excited for it. Now let's go this way. So we have two people, and it looks like one is almost, and one has, it looks like a turkey. I was going to say turkey. No, a rooster. A rooster by its side there. This other one looks like, I'm imagining it's like a watering can or something like this. Watering something. And I feel like this is kind of a time where there's a little bit of a wake-up call. We have the rooster, so it is kind of, cock-a-doodle doing. And what it feels like to me is there's this real pull towards I got to get things going. I got to get this moving along. I feel like I've maybe been a little stagnant lately, but let's reframe that. I think you've been taking care of yourself. I think you've been recharging your batteries, kind of regrouping and doing what it is that you need to do for yourself. And so now, with all of this extra energy coming about and these feelings of wanting to be open with people or a person, maybe having, more of a impulse towards excuse me, an impulse towards entanglement is what I was going to say. And I'm sorry, I'm still, I feel so much better, but my cough, it's lingering. So thank you for putting up with that. But yeah, so I feel like this is like watering the gardens of your life. And kind of being startled awake from this. Not startled. I shouldn't say startled. Although, listen, a rooster would startle me if it was that close and it woke me up. But I feel like it's kind of like, let's get to work here. Let's get busy. And so I feel this will be a time where you make some real progress in the things that you're interested in doing. And now we have a dragon right here. So I believe that this is really going to be quite a successful second half of the year for you. We have the year of the dragon. We're right in it, right? And I do feel like there's a lot of momentum, okay? Potential, opportunity. And I think that you're right there, taking advantage of those and putting yourself in a position of abundance, in a position of success. And so this is an exciting time. And it does. I just feel in general there's a sense of ease and feeling good about things. Now, we have a house right here, okay? We also have a house over here. And in between, we have a person on a horse riding this way. We have two other people. Maybe another horse right here. So I feel that there is something going on between you and another household, or your household and another household. I get the impression this is like maybe within the family. Okay, because it feels like there's a lot of travel in between, going back and forth. I don't know what's happening. It seems a little chaotic. I almost wonder if there is, something's happened. Maybe somebody has had an ailment of some kind, but I feel like there's this real kind of, I gotta be there for them. I gotta show up. I need to, hustle up and get over there. But I also don't feel like it's something that is like, it just happened, right? Like an accident or something like that. I feel like this is kind of like maybe your parents are getting a little older. You're going over and helping them with things. They're calling more frequently, asking for your assistance and that kind of thing. And so I think this is a really kind of central part of your life right now. I think that you are somebody who does not forget yours, right? And so you're going to show up for them, most definitely. And so it would make sense that, every time they need something or every time they're calling, you are probably their first call. And you're right out the door on your way if you, of course, are available. Maybe you're at work and it takes some time. But I do think that you are really the family member that they count on. And I think that, this is something that you fully embrace. I don't think it's something that you lament so much. I think that your life is maybe set up in a way where you're very close to your family. And it doesn't feel like, for some people, I think it feels like a chore, or they just don't have time for it. It's just, too much on top of everything else. Or maybe they have, kind of a poor relationship with their elders or their parents. And so, it has worked out in such a way where they don't really come around that much. Not you though, okay? I think you're the one that's really always kind of going over and being with them. Now we have 777, so we have the jackpot. I feel like some money coming through, not necessarily through work. Maybe you do, a little bit of lottery, or doing the slots, or whatever it is. Maybe this is kind of a side project, or I don't know, maybe you're having a garage sale or something, right? But I think this is a bit of a come up for you, making a little bit extra pocket change here, and so not something to be too sad about, right? This is happy news. Okay, now we're gonna turn this. Sometimes if we take it out this way, then I can kind of see. Okay, so we have another face. And this one looks like it's M-A-Z-E, maze. Okay, so maze. Maybe a labyrinth. We have a deer right here. We also have a fish up here. Excuse me. We have a person over here who looks like they are wishing upon a shooting star. So let's see. I feel very, there's such a kindredness for me with the symbology of the labyrinth, the maze. This is something that we all can relate to at different parts of our life, if not throughout our life. Sometimes we find ourselves in these places where we don't really know how we got there. We don't really know where we're going, or, what is going to be next. But we know that we have to keep going. And so I look at this and I'm thinking, there really is this sense of kind of doing better for for those who came before you, your ancestors, your elders. This looks like an older person, probably masculine person, and I get the instinct here that this is somebody who I think that it was quite a role model for you, almost like a grandpa, great-grandpa, somebody that you spent time with in your youth. I think that you knew them, maybe not for a very long time, but enough that they left quite an impression on you. And I think that you looked at them even when you were young and saw somebody who worked very hard to get the family to where it is, or, where it was, especially when you were young. And gave of themselves, worked, saved, tried to, maybe buy a home for the family, find find a place where not only could they thrive domestically, but maybe start a business or, something like this. And so I look at this and I feel like, this is keeps you motivated for sure. But I think at times it feels like you're in the maze because it's so much harder. I mean, it really just is, right? I think we can all agree the world is a lot different than it used to be as far as, well, the economy, of course. But being able to, meet those kind of dream goals that people once had. And that is, like marriage, kids, house, owning a business, having a bunch of cars or, whatever. And by a bunch of cars, I mean 2 cars. That's a bunch of cars in my book. So, I think that it's easy for us to really kind of deepen our place in that labyrinth when we don't look at things in context, right? Why were my parents so successful by the time they were 35, or my grandparents were so successful by the time they were 35, and here I am still struggling, or, whatever age that you are or that you were when you were still struggling. I'm not living up to, their expectations and so on. And we still have these feelings even as adults, don't we? And so, the reality is the world is different. Things are different. Opportunities, though they are many, not always the case for everybody, right? And just because it's an opportunity doesn't mean it's going to pay off, right? So I think, this is a time where we really, really employ those acts of great self-kindness, of really, self-affirmation and building up this love for self, within self, the compassion, the empathy, and all of these things. Now, we also have the deer here. So I feel like really, there is a place within yourself. There are these interior landscapes, this place where your grace and faith thrive. And I feel that this is where, you go to restore yourself. And so when you get into this kind of, thinking, and you can begin to really kind of ruminate on things like this. I'm not doing well enough. I'm the only one in my family who, got a bachelor's degree, but I'm also the only one that's never owned a house, and this is kind of the song of the millennial, I think. And so, that's hard. It's hard, but it is also, there are so many factors, and we know that consciously. But, we have to remind ourselves, very clearly remind ourselves. And so, I feel partially this is also about, allowing yourself, and I think that you do. Especially this time of your life, Aries, you have to allow yourself to go where your heart kind of tells you, where your intuition tells you. And if that means that you are working within a career that doesn't make that much money, you're always going to be renting, but you're going to find meaning and value in your life, so be it, right? That's okay. That's more than okay, That's actually more than most of us will ever have, right? So, I think that, yes, it really is just kind of this place of, sometimes we have to count our blessings. And sometimes we have to do that very, very, apparently, not just kind of like, oh, I'm blessed, I'm so lucky I've gotten these things and things have aligned and such. No, you sit down and you make a list. You go through each one and you say it out loud. Read it out loud to yourself. Let yourself hear it. You know, really let it get in there. Sometimes we have to do it. You know, and it might feel a little bit cheesy or whatever, but I promise you that it is helpful. It is powerful to utter, you know, these words, these, you know, these, well, and blessings they are. They're the most powerful words in prayer as well. And so, yeah, do that for yourself. Absolutely. Now we have that fish up there. So, you know, we talk about all this, but I still feel like there's abundance here. And stop comparing yourself to other people, even your family. I mean, especially your family, really. You know, we live in a world where we are always bombarded. I mean, just constantly. If you're on social media, if you watch TV, if you're on, even just the internet, websites, right? There are ads everywhere. And that's fine. You know, ads are just part of the world. And, you know, even my videos, they have ads. And, you know, that's... it's no different than cable TV, right? So, you know, but the thing is that we set ourselves up in a way where we're just comparing constantly. What we have, what we don't have, is it good enough? Is it not good enough? What will people think, or what do I think, or do I think anything at all? Shouldn't I have an opinion? Let me go find my opinion, you know, and so on. So, try to quiet that a little bit. You know, I myself, I will try at times to stay off of like social media, right? And a lot of it is just because it's overwhelming to me. And I spend too much time on it at times. But other than that, it is also this thing where it's like, it just seeps into my brain. Oh, I need to have all these things that I didn't even know existed, you know, because I see people using them, or like gardening tools and things for the house and, you know, doodads and gadgets and things. And I realized, you know, I was doing just fine. I was quite happy when I was just figuring it out, you know, with the bare minimum. And so hopefully we can find like a happy medium there, right? Don't have to be like ultra minimalist or ultra maximalists, but yeah, finding that medium. And also, like I said, trying to quiet that comparison, that thing that we do. And realizing there is a lot of abundance in your life, right? And it's growing. I'm looking up here. We have this flower. It's beautiful. It is growing, okay? And it might not be as quickly as you hoped, but it is. It is, and it will continue to do so as long as you are, you know, putting into the effort into it. And but I think that it's important for us to remind ourselves where we've been, where we're at, and where we will go, right? And sometimes it might feel like, okay, well, you know, things are not going well in this moment, but compared to what they were 2 years ago, or even 6 months ago, it might be a huge difference. We get used to things very quickly. We lose sight of the bigger picture very easily. And so, you know, I do think that it is worth sometimes kind of looking at the larger kind of graph of things. Now, we also have a pair of glasses. So to me, I'm thinking maybe you've been having some issues with your eyes. If you have insurance, or if you have the ability to maybe get your eyes checked. If you have not, it might be a good time, okay? If you're like me, sometimes I'll have the same prescription for like 5 years before I get it checked again. And thankfully, I did that this last time. It didn't change. But the time before that, it like changed drastically. So, yeah, so you gotta, especially if you have glasses, stay on top of that. You don't want to end up like me with, I have the thickest glasses ever. The lenses are almost kind of comical. Okay, so we have a 3. Oh, 23. We have 23. We also have, it looks like a ram. Oh, yeah. Well, we're reading for Aries, so that makes sense. The ram. We also have what looks like maybe a morning glory here. Something about morning glories. More flowers. We have a beetle in flight. I almost feel like this is somebody in your life who maybe was also an Aries. And I think this is kind of silly, but I almost feel like they were really into the Beatles. And they are transitioned. They are not with us in their human physical form any longer. And I feel like it was kind of a difficult passing. I think that they maybe passed early in the morning. And I think that maybe you weren't there. It's like one of those things where you're with them all the time. You've been staying with them, maybe overnights, and it was your time to go home and like take a shower, get some rest, and they happened to pass while you weren't there. And I think that this is something that affects you deeply, even still. But I think that I think that you know this. I think that you've maybe even had dreams about it. But they want you to know that they were okay. It was okay. Their passing. And they know that, you were with them up until the end. And not being there in that moment, it doesn't take away from the bond that you had. They weren't afraid. They weren't scared. They knew what was happening. But there is such a belovedness when we let go of life. And if you've had an indie, although I've heard, there are people who've had very traumatic ones, of course. But I myself have had 2. Or not even indie. Are they indies? I came back, right? I was technically dead 2 different times in my life. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I was unalive. Oh no. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that on here. But yes, I was unalive for 2 different times in my life. And one was very blissful. The other one was just kind of an absence of anything. And I don't know. I think for some people, it's difficult and they cling to, they don't want to go. And that maybe is part of it. But I think for a lot of people anyways, and in these initial parts of the chemicals that are released, but it's also just an overwhelming sense of relief and ease, leaving your physical form. And so, and they say, right, the people that suffer are the ones that are left behind. And so You know, I think that's very true. I absolutely do. And so, you know, I think that this is somebody coming through, and you know exactly who it is. And I feel like it was a prolonged experience, like probably an illness, a terminal illness. And yeah, they know though. They know that you were there and they're with you. And that's part of why they're so close to you, bonded to you. It's because you were always devoted to them and they to you. Okay? So that it's always nice when that comes through, those kinds of messages, because I know a lot of people live with so much regret, especially if they aren't there when the passing occurs. So let's go ahead and look at the Wild Offering Oracle cards. And I'm just going to go ahead and flip through here. I'm going to stop where it feels right. And it says self-acceptance. Okay, nothing is more exhausting than endlessly working on yourself. When you offer your whole being fully to love, self-acceptance arises spontaneously. May I rest in our oneness, dear divine. May I rest in our oneness, dear divine. Okay. All right, Aries, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I love hearing from each and every one of you. And so, yeah, I guess that's it. I love you. Take care of yourself. And we'll talk in a couple days from now, a few days from now. All right. Good night, Aries.